Across the world, millions of miles of roads are laid, but among the familiar highways, there are those where every turn can cost a life. There is no room for mistakes here. Avalanches, cliffs, earthquakes, and deadly bends await those who dare to take on the challenge. Today we will show you the most extreme roads on the planet, routes where beauty stands next to danger, and every mile becomes a trial. But before we begin, I will ask you to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. It really helps me with promotion. I wish you a pleasant viewing. Let us begin our list with a truly legendary route, the Atlantic Ocean Road in Norway. Amazingly, this road has gone down in history not only as one of the most dangerous on Earth, but also as one of the most scenic routes for road trips. Here you really should keep your seatbelt fastened, because the Atlantic Road hides quite a few surprises. One of its most famous sections is the Storsøysundet Bridge, which has earned the nickname the Bridge to Nowhere. Its rise is so unusual that from the side, it looks as if the road leads straight into the heavens. And when you climb to the very highest point, it is better not to look down. And then, a real amusement ride. The route runs along the very edge of the Norwegian Sea. The waves can look mesmerizingly beautiful here, but during a storm they crash directly onto the road, sweeping everything in their path. One wrong move, and the car risks being carried away together with the foaming waters back into the abyss. Cotahuasi is one of the deepest canyons on the planet, and it is precisely here that a road runs which seems to test drivers for endurance. It begins on the Pan-American Highway, not far from the city of Arequipa, and leads into the depths of the canyon. Most of this route has no asphalt covering at all. Drivers have to travel over sharp stones and gravel, among which new boulders can start breaking off and tumbling down at any moment. And in the rainy season, the route turns into a real nightmare. Slippery rocks, mud flows, and torrents of water make movement as difficult as it gets. It is not for nothing that they say only the most steadfast and persistent travelers can cross the road through the Cotahuasi Canyon. The entire route takes from 10 to 12 hours, and only four-wheel drive vehicles are capable of making it. The Cotahuasi Canyon itself is the third deepest in the world. For comparison, it is almost twice as deep as the American Grand Canyon. Just imagine how dangerous that is. Drivers are forced to weave along dizzying switchbacks that wind directly above precipices. Add to this an elevation of 15,000 feet above sea level, and you get a place where even simple breathing becomes a test, to say nothing of driving. The next road takes us to Taiwan, only about 12 miles of travel, but these are perhaps some of the riskiest 12 miles of your life. The road through the Taroko Gorge is laid directly through mountain massifs, carved into the rock, and it twists among picturesque landscapes. It is hard to believe, but this dangerous route has become a tourist attraction. Tourist buses, passenger cars, motorcycles, bicycles, and even pedestrians move along it at the same time. All this on a narrow stone road where there are plenty of blind turns and places where there is literally no visibility. But the scariest thing is that Taroko Gorge is subject to constant natural disasters. Rock falls, floods, landslides, and even earthquakes occur here. Therefore, those who manage to overcome this section without incident can truly consider themselves lucky. And keeping the road passable is extremely difficult. Torrential rains and typhoons destroy it again and again, leaving some sections practically impassable. On the border of China and Pakistan runs one of the most famous and most dangerous highways in the world, the Karakoram Highway. Its length is staggering, about 810 miles, and many call it the eighth wonder of the world. The beauty of this road is truly mesmerizing. The views that open up here take your breath away. But that is precisely what makes it treacherous. Nature is both magnificent and deadly. At its highest point, the road climbs to 15,000 feet above sea level. The air is so thin that breathing becomes difficult, as if the road itself is stealing oxygen from you. Dangers lurk everywhere. Rockfalls, avalanches, river overflows, swift torrents of water, and dizzying cliffs. Even though the highway is popular among travelers, it can turn out to be the last road for those who lose caution. Its history of creation is also impressive. Construction began in 1959, and according to various sources, about 1,000 workers died during the laying of the route. Dynamite explosions triggered new rockfalls and avalanches, taking lives. And even in our time, tragedies continue to happen. For example, 17 people died when a bus fell into a gorge on one of the sharp bends. Just a month before that, a rockfall took the life of a tourist. Do not be deceived by the gentle name. Fairy Meadows Road in Pakistan promises no magic. It is only 10 miles of travel, but those 10 miles can feel like an eternity. The road runs at an elevation of about 8,000 feet, is covered mostly with loose gravel, and every wrong move can be the last. Steep turns, the absence of guardrails, slippery surfaces, all this creates a deadly combination. One look at the chasm to the side is enough to make your heart sink into your boots. The route starts from the Karakoram Highway and leads to the village of Tato, but only off-road vehicles can pass it. Larger vehicles simply do not fit here. In the end, the road becomes so narrow and unsafe that the remaining part must be covered on foot. The view from Fairy Meadows is considered one of the most picturesque on Earth, but to reach it, you have to go through a trial that is definitely not for the faint-hearted. Everyone has heard of a stairway to heaven, but in China, there is something far more extreme. The road with 99 turns to heaven, laid through the Tianmen Mountain National Park. This road is like a challenge to fate itself. It winds like a serpent, hanging over an abyss, and includes exactly 99 sharp bends that make even the most experienced drivers dizzy. Construction took a full 8 years and was completed only in 2006. But this road is not just a dangerous serpentine. Each curve has symbolic meaning. They embody 9 heavenly palaces. It is believed that by ascending this road, the traveler seems to approach the divine world, and it is crowned by the majestic Heaven's Gate, a giant natural arch in the rock, which since ancient times has been considered a portal connecting the world of humans with the world of the gods. And when a driver gets here, the sensation really is as if they have crossed the boundary of reality. In the Chinese village of Guoliang, there once existed only a narrow mountain path laid along the slopes of the Taihang Mountains. It was so dangerous that any wrong move could result in a fall into the abyss. And the residents grew tired of waiting for help from the authorities. In 1972, only 13 local residents decided to dig a tunnel right through the mountain with their own hands, without heavy machinery, without dynamite, only with simple tools. The work took 5 years, and every day the people advanced only about 3 feet. The tunnel ended up about 3/4 of a mile long, 16 feet high, and 13 feet wide. During construction, 3 people died, but their efforts changed the life of the village forever. The residents now had a safe way out to the outside world. Over time, the tunnel became a tourist attraction. However, it still remains extremely dangerous. There are no guardrails, no lighting, and its narrow windows open directly onto the abyss. Locals even nicknamed it the road that does not forgive mistakes. If most extreme roads frighten with sharp turns, cliffs, or impassable sections, then the Pan American Highway stands out for something else. The danger here is not nature at all, but people. On the whole, the road looks like an ordinary highway stretched across continents, but there is a section where the situation changes drastically. This territory has been in conflict zones for decades, and the farther you go into it, the higher the risk of encountering armed groups. Stories about travelers being seized, kidnappings for ransom, and even lifelong imprisonments are not uncommon here. Local insurgents often stopped cars, took people captive, and disappeared with them into the jungle. Therefore, if you have to drive this section, there is one piece of advice: press the gas and do not stop until you are safe. Here, speed is your only chance. In Alaska, there is a road that makes even seasoned long-haul truckers shiver. This is the Dalton Highway, stretching for 400 miles across desolate lands. The main peculiarity of the route is that over this distance, you will not encounter hospitals, hotels, or even gas stations. Only you, the car, and the silent northern wilderness. Most of the road is covered with gravel, and in bad weather it turns into a real trap. Slippery slopes, skids, and long descents make every mile unpredictable. The situation is worsened by wild animals. Moose and bears freely step onto the road, and the driver has only fractions of a second to decide. Slam the brakes or try to avoid the collision. But any sharp movement on the loose surface threatens a rollover. And in winter, even the most experienced truck drivers refuse to cross the Dalton. Ice, blizzards, and avalanches make it almost impassable. Siberia has always been considered a land of harsh trials, and the route there lives up to its reputation. The Amur-Yakut Tract, nicknamed the Road of Bones, connects the region with one of the coldest places on Earth. In fact, these are two routes, the Federal Highway R-504 Kolyma and A-360 Lena. But the scariest part is the section that runs along the very ice road over the Lena River. From December to April, they open an ice road here when the river surface freezes enough to bear vehicles. However, ice is never reliable. Every year people die here. Cars plunge under the ice, taking passengers with them. And that is only part of the dangers. Then begin snowdrifts, blizzards, and especially after rains, the highway turns into a sticky bog where convoys of off-road vehicles get stuck, forming kilometer-long traffic jams. The name Road of Bones fully lives up to itself. Dozens of lives are lost on this route every year. In India, there is a stretch of road that turns just 5.5 miles into a real nightmare. This is the Zojila Pass, running through the Himalayas. The maximum elevation here reaches 11,500 feet, and along the entire route, there is not a single guardrail. On one side is rock, on the other, a bottomless abyss. The road is narrow, unpaved, and extremely unreliable. Danger lurks at every step. Landslides, rock falls, and the absence of road signs leave no chance to relax. The road winds among the mountains, connecting the cities of Srinagar and Leh, and in winter, it is completely closed. Snowdrifts of 50 feet and piercing winds make it absolutely impassable. Zojila has strategic significance. It was originally built in 1947 for military needs, and to this day it remains the only link between Ladakh and Kashmir. But as you drive along this route, you will more than once notice overturned buses and smashed cars that never made it to the end. Now we move to western Nepal. Here, among the harsh Himalayas, lies one of the deadliest roads in the world, the Karnali Highway. The length of this route is 155 miles, and about 50 people die on it every year. Even outside the rainy season, the road is an extremely dangerous challenge. The surface is so dusty that visibility falls almost to zero, and the dust clouds themselves hide new threats: falling rocks, pits, collapsed sections, and swift streams of water. Narrow turns and cliffs make the trip akin to playing with death. In the rainy season, the river washes out the road, turning it into chaos of mud and slippery stones. But even in dry times, it is easy to tumble down here. The problem is so serious that the police officially banned travel on the Karnali Highway at night. The statistics are frightening. About 85% of the entire route is recognized as unsafe. If you ever find yourself in Bolivia and see a sign for the North Yungas Road, it is better to turn around. This place is not known around the world as the Death Road for nothing. Its length is only 50 miles, but these miles run at an elevation of 15,200 feet above sea level. The air is so rarefied that it is hard to breathe not only for people, but for cars as well. Engines lose power. The road is narrow, only one lane, and in some places the drop-offs plunge down 3,000 feet directly into the Amazon jungle. Add to this more than 200 sharp turns, thick fog, constant landslides, and rockfalls, and you get a deadly cocktail where one wrong move decides everything. Until 1994, about 300 people died on this road every year. Homemade crosses still stand along the roadside, a reminder of those who fell into the abyss. Today, part of the route has been rebuilt, made into 2 lanes, but the old section remains accessible to cyclists. Every year, Thrill seekers from all over the world come here to challenge the death road. Unfortunately, not everyone returns. We return again to India, where another deadly route is hidden, the Killer Pangi Road. It stretches for 70 miles and rises to an elevation of 8,200 feet. And, as bad luck would have it, there is not a single protective barrier along the edges. This road seems unthinkable, narrow, bumpy, strewn with huge boulders. You have to drive slowly, carefully skirting every hole. Particularly ominous is a section about 6 miles long where massive stone vaults hang right over your head as if ready to collapse at any moment. Most astonishing of all, this road was built hundreds of years ago by local residents, and since then it has never undergone a major renovation. The narrow strip barely fits one Jeep, and if 2 vehicles meet, a deadlock arises. Any mistake, and the car flies down into a chasm more than 2,000 feet deep. In New Zealand, hidden among mountain slopes, lies one of the scariest roads in the world, the Skipper's Canyon Road. It began to be carved into the rock more than 100 years ago by gold miners, and since then, it has hardly changed. Today, this route stretches for only 16 miles from the paved Coronet Peak Road to the Skipper's campsite. But every turn here can be the last. The road runs directly along the sheer walls of the canyon, high above the raging, shot-over river. The roadway is narrow, covered with stones, and there is, of course, no asphalt. There are no guardrails either, so the slightest shift in the car's weight threatens a fall into the abyss. In some places, the road is so narrow that 2 cars physically cannot pass each other. One driver is obliged to reverse along the switchbacks until they find a widening. Nowadays, tourists are most often driven along this road in special buses with experienced drivers, but even they take risks at every turn. And with good reason. Tragedies occur here every year. In only 2021, 185 people died on this route. If you think traffic jams in your city are a catastrophe, then imagine movement on a gigantic viaduct in Shanghai. The Puxi Viaduct is one of the largest and most congested transportation hubs on the planet. 5 levels of interwoven bridges connect 2 of the megalopolis's most important arteries, Nanbei Road and Yan'an Road. From above, it looks like a mad labyrinth, where tens of thousands of cars pass every hour. And should a single accident occur, the traffic stops. Huge traffic jams stretch for kilometers. If you do not dream of becoming a hostage to this chaos, it is better to observe this architectural wonder from the outside rather than from the inside. Canada is famous for its stunning landscapes, but among all its beauties there is a road that amazes even seasoned travelers. This is the Cabot Trail, a tourist route on Cape Breton Island, stretching for almost 300 kilometers along the northern part of the coastline. Built back in 1932, this road has become the visiting card of the region. Every year, tens of thousands of tourists come here to enjoy the views of Cape Breton Highlands National Park and the majestic mountains that seem to rise right above the ocean. If you love nature and scenic panoramas, add this road to your wish list. If winding switchbacks enchant you, then the Stelvio Pass in the Alps is exactly what you need. On the border of Italy and Switzerland, this road is dotted with 75 sharp bends that can turn a trip into a true test for a novice. But for the local authorities, this did not become an obstacle. On the contrary, they turned the road into a sporting arena. Every year, the Bike Day on the Stelvio and a marathon are held here, gathering thousands of participants and spectators. The dangerous serpentine has become a true symbol of the region and a favorite of tourists. Among all the roads in the world, there are few that shine and beckon as much as the famous Las Vegas Boulevard. It stretches for more than 80 kilometers, but all its magnetism is concentrated in the most famous part, the Las Vegas Strip. Here in one place, everything that symbolizes the City of Lights is concentrated. Luxurious hotels, glittering casinos, endless neon signs, and lively crowds of tourists. This is a place where in half an hour you can buy a soda, see a street show, and get married. The atmosphere is so unique that even a simple drive along this road turns into a vivid adventure you will remember for a lifetime. The most crooked street in the world? Yes, this is exactly it. Lombard Street in San Francisco. Despite the fact that its length is only 180 meters, the road is studded with 8 sharp turns. So sharp that the recommended speed is only 8 kilometers per hour. And even at such a slow pace, drivers feel uncertain. But there is another problem: tourists. Every day, thousands of people come here to see the legendary Serpentine in person, and on peak summer days, the number of visitors reaches 17,000. Imagine the traffic jams on a street that by itself is already practically impassable. It is no surprise that many city residents try to bypass this attraction. The Amalfi Coast has become famous worldwide for its beaches, picturesque views, and colorful villages. But to see all this beauty, you will have to take a risk and drive along one of the most dangerous roads on the planet. The Amalfi Highway, carved into the cliffs back in the times of the Roman Empire, is a narrow 2-lane road clinging to sheer precipices. On one side, the sea; on the other, rocks, and between them a flood of cars, buses, and motorcycles. Add to this insane bends and endless tourist buses, and you will understand why locals advise hiring a driver. This will allow you not only to save your nerves, but also to fully enjoy the landscapes that open up after every turn. Most of the roads in this list amaze with their beauty, but this one is included for another reason: corruption. The Adler-Krasnaya Polyana Road was built for the Sochi 2014 Olympic Games. It would seem like an ordinary project 45 kilometers long, connecting the coastline with a ski resort in the Caucasus Mountains. But the amount that Russia spent on its construction shocked the entire world: $9+ billion. For comparison, the entire Vancouver Olympics 4 years earlier cost $1.5 billion. Experts calculated, for every kilometer of road, so many funds were spent that it could have been paved with an 8-centimeter layer of Louis Vuitton bags, and that would have been cheaper. It is no surprise that this project became a symbol of large-scale corruption. For those who are not afraid of heights, the Kardungla Road in India is a real challenge. At an elevation of 5,600 meters above sea level, this pass is listed in the Guinness World Records as the highest motor road in the world. It is located in the mountains near the city of Leh and was officially opened to cars in 1988. The road connects the valleys of Leh, Nubra, and Shiok, and the views here truly take your breath away: snowy peaks, green gorges, and boundless expanses. But not everything is so romantic. At such an altitude, drivers are often overtaken by altitude sickness. And considering that there is almost no medical help nearby, the risk becomes serious. In addition, the pass has strategic significance: supplies to the Siachen Glacier, where a smoldering dispute between India and Pakistan persists, pass precisely through it. Danger, beauty, and history are intertwined here in a single route. While some car owners take their vehicles to the car wash, in Norway, there is a road where the ocean itself douses cars with waves. The Atlantic Road is only 8 kilometers of travel, but what a stretch. It connects the mainland with a chain of small islands and runs across 8 bridges. The Atlantic's waves here are so strong that they often flood the road, turning the trip into an extreme adventure. And that is precisely what makes the route a tourist gem. Daredevils come here from all over the world for a unique experience. Automakers use the Atlantic Road for commercials and tests because the combination of beauty and danger here is unique. A true trial for drivers that also offers stunning views. That is what they are like. The roads that test both machines and people for strength. In some places, the danger comes from nature, in others from history itself, and even from the human factor. But they are all united by one thing: every kilometer along them turns into a struggle for life. Do you want even more stories about amazing roads and cars? Check out our playlist about transport, get comfortable, and enjoy a selection of the best videos about automobiles from all over the world.